Hey you guys, so this week's topic is Toddler 101. So I thought I would talk more about how to get toddlers to eat, especially those picky toddlers. So first of all, let's talk about some facts. So we do know that now the age group that I'm talking about when it pertains to facts is for 1 to 3. Now the tips and tricks that I will later talk about will be for any age group, um, but just the facts part is for ages 1 to 3. Now, for your toddlers, their calorie intake per day should be about 1,000 to 1,300. If you think about it, that's not really a lot of calories. Um, it really doesn't take that long to get that many calories per day. Now, as far as like vegetable servings, they are supposed to have 3 to 5 servings of vegetables per day. And a good way to measure that out, for your 1 to 3 year olds are going to be for however old they are, however many years, that is how many tablespoons they will need to equal 1 serving. So for an example, Kira is 2, so she will need 2 tablespoons of vegetables to equal 1 serving. And of course, they only need 3 to 5 per day. So you're looking at, for Kira, 6 tablespoons at the minimum of vegetables a day. And if you think about it, that is not a lot. Not as much as what you would think. Now, your child's stomach is going to be about the size of their fist, so keep that in mind when you're preparing food. I wouldn't pile a bunch of food on their plate. If you do that, they can be overwhelmed. Not only that, but then they're going to tend to pick only one specific type of food and eat that, and then they usually want more of that, and then they don't want to eat the other stuff. So kind of keep the portion size down to a minimum. Now, toddlers also tend to binge on food, so one day they may want only one specific type of food, and then the next day it could change. That can even last for weeks or even months. That is completely normal for toddlers to do. Not only that, but toddlers are going to eat through their moods. So if they're in a bad mood that day, more than likely they're not going to eat very good. And that's the reason why some days toddlers will eat really, really good, and then some days they don't hardly eat nothing at all. And Madeline is a perfect example of that. There are some days that she will eat certain foods, and some days she's like, I don't like that. And then there are some days she eats really, really well, and then there are some days that she eats like a bird. And, if you're worried about your child's diet, my advice would be talk to their pediatrician. They are going to be able to offer you medical advice that's going to pertain to your child. And I would just, if you feel something is off with your child's diet or you're worried or concerned about it, definitely talk to your pediatrician. Now, as far as some of the tips to get your child to eat, some of those more nutritious foods are going to be, number 1, dips. You can make dips out of peanut butter, guacamole, cottage cheese, cream cheese, yogurt. I don't know if I said that or not. And even cheese. You can take cheese and melt it and let them use that to dip. You also have ketchup and you have ranch. And I know those are probably not going to offer you like nutrition value. But if ranch gets your child to eat their raw vegetables, then so be it. Now, ketchup is a really big thing in my house for Kira. Are you okay? She will eat potatoes that way, eggs that way. You can basically give that kid ketchup or ranch, and she's going to eat anything as long as she's got something to dip it in. Now, if we are doing fruits and vegetables, I tend to stick with the other ones that I listed. Now, we do love peanut butters and apples. Really, really good that way. Now, another thing that you can do is make it pretty. And, even as an adult, you tend to gravitate towards more foods that look pretty. It's pretty if you put it on a plate a certain way, like the chefs do. Same thing with your toddlers. So you can take cookie cutters and cut out shapes. And if you don't want to use cookie cutters, there's squares and triangles and rectangles. Those are really easy shapes to cut that you can do with the knife. You can also do vegetable art. So make funny faces using different types of vegetables and stuff. And children are more likely to eat their creations than anything. So that might just give them a little push. Now, you want to make it accessible, meaning give them a spot in your fridge on a lower shelf that will hold, nutrition snacks. So, or nutritious snacks. So, when they are wanting something, then you can let them go to the fridge and pick out what they are wanting. Because, like I said, some days they may be in the mood for this, and then the next, not so much. So let them pick, and they're more likely to eat what they pick. But, of course, if you fill it up and you have junk food in there, and then you also have healthy stuff in there, your child's normally going to pick the junky food anyway. So make sure it's nutritious, it's, good food for them, and just let them pick. Now, one thing that really helps with my girls is let them cook with you. Now, I know I always say that we do a lot of baking, and there are a few jobs that they can do, with cooking, and I guess it depends on your child and your child's age. Now, I typically don't like for them to help me when it comes to dinner, when I know I'm going to be cooking around heat and stuff, but as far as preparing, the more the merrier in my book. The more hands you have in the kitchen, the more fun it's going to be, and the more time's going to fly by. So some jobs, that they can do would be, let them assist you with using the cookie cutters to cut out fun shapes. Now, you can even cut out fun shapes in lasagna noodles, and, instead of doing like one slab of lasagna noodles, you can make separate little muffin pans full of, like little lasagna, and you can let them cut out, their shapes. You can also grate the vegetables to put in there. Your pastas are going to be your best food to hide vegetables in. Now, other foods or other things that they can do in the kitchen would be, let them wash and tear up lettuce, or let them scrub potatoes. They love to do things like that. At least my girls, they do. They love to feel like they're helping, and, it's teaching them. So there's, some ideas there. Now, as far as like back to the grating vegetables, you can grate vegetables really, really small, and if you do, then more likely they're not going to taste it. So if you are concerned about your child's intake, I would definitely, suggest doing that. You can put it in pasta dishes, like I was saying earlier, and even some of their favorite foods you can put it in. Now, I know some parents may say, that's very controversial because, I want my child to eat healthy. I want my child to pick healthy foods and, learn, to eat good for a lifetime. And that is true. But for toddlers, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And, you want them to be able to get their vegetables, but yet you can't force them to eat it. So sometimes you have no choice but to sneak it in there. You don't start fighting. It's my ball. Okay. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is going to be something that we have in our house, and that is a taste rule. So, like whether it's something new or whatever it is, they have to taste it. Now, you can do it to where however many bites you want to do. I typically stick with 2 to 3 bites. Now, you want them to at least take 1 bite just to try it, because, with toddlers, they are funny like that. One day they may eat something. You better be careful, Kira. One day they may eat something and the next they may not. So just, offer it anyway on their plate and just have the taste test. So if they taste it and they take 2 bites and they still don't want any of it, then I tend to not make them eat any. But I do like for them to taste, because like with Madeline, that works wonderful with her. There are some days that she won't eat, like for an example, there are some days she won't eat bread. Now, she's never really been a big bread eater, but, some days she'll eat it and some days she won't. So sometimes for breakfast, when we do have biscuits or we have toast, something along that lines, some mornings she will eat it, and that will be all that she wants. And then there are some mornings that she's like, I don't like bread, but we still make her taste it anyway. And then 90% of the time she winds up eating it anyway. I don't know what's up with that. Now, as far as Kira goes, Kira's a little piggy. She doesn't really care what she eats. She just eats, and she has a really good appetite. Now, as far as Alexis goes, She is 8, and surprisingly, she loves vegetables. So maybe, hopefully, the other two will turn out that way. Now, she was the same way as my 2 toddlers now. She was very picky. She only liked specific foods. She didn't really like her vegetables. Now, as a baby, all 3 of my kids would prefer vegetables over fruit. And for some reason, through the toddler stage, it's the opposite. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just their taste buds is changing. But Alexis, you know, she really loves vegetables. She loves peas. She loves green beans. She loves trees. And that's what we call broccoli. She loves salads. Now, a thing with salads, now we do make up funny stories. And with the salads, we pretend like we're caterpillars. And then when we get done eating all of our salads, we turn into butterflies. We will talk about, you know, what color our wings will be. And, you know, we talk about things that caterpillars eat and what, you know, butterflies eat. And we pretend like the lettuce is grass. So that's, you know, something fun that really works really well with Maddie at this point in time. She absolutely loves salads. And, of course, it could have something to do with it has cheese on it, and it has bacon bits, and it has croutons, and it has fruit. And then, of course, it has the ranch for them to dip it. So you can make up funny little stories with your kids to get them to eat it. Call specific foods like broccoli, you can call it trees. So, you know, that's, you know, an idea that I didn't talk about earlier. So I hoped that this gave some of you mamas out there, you know, some advice and that it helps you. So thanks for watching.